lot. It's kind of like one giant nucleus, right? So it's a 10 to the 56 times the mass of a hydrogen nucleus because of all the different nuclei that's in there, and compress it further by another factor of 100,000. So that a single teaspoonful of material now weighs 1,000,000,000,000,000 tons, the mass of 1,000 Earths. A teaspoon of material of this more compressed sun, in imagination, would weigh 1,000,000,000,000,000 tons. The sun is now the size of a basketball. So if you compress the sun somehow to the size of a basketball, no worries, you would just make a teaspoon of it weigh 1,000,000,000,000,000,000 tons only. So then what happens? We'll see. I'll be out in my 50s. And you'll be 50 even if you don't get a PhD. So just get a PhD. I think we will all turn something at some point, and that's no excuse to not get a PhD. If you want a PhD, go get it. You'll be 15 regardless. However, there are about 400 billion suns in our galaxy. And actually my office mate in grad school was in his 50s. One of the office mates. I had a very large office in grad school with the blessing of the universe, and I had two office mates, and actually I switched groups a number of times, and then I was finally in this much better opportunity where I got my PhD and it worked out. But I don't regret anything because of all my rotations in grad school, I actually learned more physics, not less physics, right? So it's all good. But there were a lot of uncertainties related to where the heck I would end up and whether I would even have a PhD or not. So I guess I'm okay with uncertainty in that sense, and how quantum mechanics, requires uncertainties, deals in uncertainties. Anyway, so finally the group in which I got my PhD, that office, the office I was sitting in as an RA, research assistant, had two other office mates. One of them was like my age, and the other one was well above his 50s. He had a whole career. He did his whole, he was a software engineer in IT, etc. And then he wanted to do a physics PhD, and so he did it. And he graduated, and now he teaches physics. So I believe he's a lecturer still at Ohio State University. So if you want a career in physics, it's actually timeless and ageless. All ages welcome. It's not like American football, right, where, I don't know, seems very violent. It's more like a tennis thing. You can play at all ages. So, anyways, we'll come back here. However, there are about 400 billion suns in our galaxy. 400 billion. And at least as many galaxies in the visible universe, even if every star was compressed down to the size described above, and all the stars and all the galaxies were packed closely together, they would still encompass a volume as large as that of the Earth, implying, by the way, in case it ever proves useful to you to know it, that one can fit as many basketballs inside the Earth as there are stars in the visible universe. Goodness gracious! So did you know that as many basketballs that can fit inside the Earth are pretty much however many stars there are in the visible universe? So not that many. It's fine. We have one more large step to take. Are you ready? Uncertainty means that there are errors on your answer. So it is the opposite of being deterministic. So uncertainty, so generally when we make a measurement, there is some error. There are error bars on that measurement. You can say this stick is 10 meters plus or minus 1 meter. Let's say because you're bad at making that measurement, or you have some limitation with your instrument where your measurement can only be so accurate, and so you have to include the error bars of 10 meters plus or minus 1 meter, okay?